late at night, Amelia Sterling, one of the city's youngest CEOs, was yanked from her car by her own company's security. "You're not allowed in. It's not your company anymore." The glass door slammed, leaving only mocking laughter behind. Confused, betrayed, and almost falling, she was caught by a quiet janitor, Ethan Ward, a man who had lost everything to the same corporate machine. He held a USB containing a secret that could shatter her world and theirs. Together, they would face lies, corruption, and danger, discovering that sometimes salvation comes from the last place you'd expect. Late at night, Amelia Sterling leaned against her sleek car, exhausted from the day's board meetings, her heels clicking softly against the asphalt. She had built Sterling Group from the ground up, fought harder than anyone, and now she was one of the youngest female CEOs in the city. But tonight, something felt wrong. Before she could even reach the glass doors of her office, strong hands grabbed her arms. Security. Her own security. "You're not allowed in," a cold voice said. "It's not your company anymore." Amelia froze. "What?" "Not your concern. Step aside." Her pulse raced as the door slammed behind her. Mocking laughter echoed through the lobby. Faces she had trusted, smiled at, promoted, now sneered at her as if she were nothing. The betrayal sliced through her chest worse than any corporate setback. Confused and dizzy, she stumbled backward, nearly falling on the cold marble floor. A steady hand caught her before she hit the ground. She looked up into the kind yet sharp eyes of a janitor, someone who seemed ordinary but carried an unspoken weight. "You okay?" he asked softly. I don't understand." They overthrew me," she whispered, voice trembling. He studied her, the shadow of someone who had been crushed by similar forces in life. "Tonight, everything you believed has been orchestrated," he said quietly. "And I have something that will shatter it all." Amelia blinked, hope flickering amid the fear. For the first time since the betrayal, she saw a hand reaching back from the abyss, offering her a way forward. Someone who had nothing to gain and everything to teach about courage, loss, and survival. Ethan Ward had learned early in life that trust could be a dangerous currency. At 38, he carried the weight of loss in his eyes, a tiredness earned from raising his 9-year-old daughter, Lily, alone, and surviving a world that had taken everything from him. Once a rising systems engineer at Sterling Group, Ethan had watched his career collapse after his wife died in a mysterious office fire. The company had tried to bury the truth, blaming him for system failures he didn't commit. PTSD shadowed every quiet moment of his life, driving him away from the corporate world. Now, standing in the dim light of the parking garage, he looked at Amelia Sterling, the CEO who reminded him painfully of his late wife. He caught her gaze, trembling with confusion and betrayal, and felt the stirrings of protective instinct he hadn't known he still possessed. "You're not safe out here," he said quietly. "Follow me." Amelia hesitated. "Why should I trust you?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his coat pocket and produced a small silver USB micro spike. "3 months ago, Lucas Hale, your CFO, now gone, gave me this. He said if anything ever happened to you, I was the only one you could trust." Amelia's voice cracked. "Why would he trust you?" "Because I've been where you are," Ethan said, letting the words sink in. "They crushed my life. Took my wife. Destroyed my career. I know what it feels like to have everything taken by those who wield power without conscience. Lucas knew I'd understand, that I wouldn't fail you." Her eyes welled with tears, a mix of fear, hope, and disbelief. In that cramped, industrial-smelling storage room, Amelia realized she was no longer alone. She had an ally, someone who had survived betrayal, grief, and injustice, and who now offered a lifeline through the chaos. The storage room smelled sharply of industrial soap and cleaning chemicals, a harsh contrast to the sleek world Amelia had built. She sank onto an overturned bucket, her designer suit feeling absurdly out of place among mops, brooms, and buckets. Ethan set the small silver USB on the table between them, its metallic surface catching the dim fluorescent light. "This?" Amelia asked, voice hoarse from shock and tears. "This tiny thing, it can fix everything?" Ethan nodded. "It's more than evidence. It's the truth Lucas collected over years, financial records, security logs, even audio recordings. Enough to bring down the people who framed you." Her hands trembled as she reached for it. "Why me? Why now?" "Because you were unaware," Ethan said, crossing his arms, leaning against the wall. "Lucas trusted you because you weren't complicit in their schemes. I was complicit by default. They destroyed my life first, so I understand. You didn't see it coming, and that makes you innocent in ways that matter." Amelia swallowed hard, recalling the nights she had spent mentoring, strategizing, building Sterling Group into a powerhouse, only to have it ripped away in a single, orchestrated act of betrayal. "I built this company. Jonathan, the board, they were my family. How could they?" Ethan crouched to her eye level. "Power corrupts, Amelia. They wanted what you had. Honor, trust, influence. They despise those who wield it morally." Her gaze fell on the USB again. "And Lucas, he left all this for me?" Ethan's face softened, the grief still visible in his tired eyes. "He knew his life was at risk. This was insurance. He believed in justice, in truth, and in you. I'm just the one who can help you access it." For the first time since being thrown from her car, Amelia felt a spark, a fragile, flickering hope. This tiny object, resting between them, carried the weight of betrayal, loss, and years of hidden courage. It was the key to reclaiming not just her company, but her life. Amelia's hands hovered over the USB, hesitant. The weight of what it contained pressed down on her chest, mingling with the guilt and confusion of betrayal. Ethan stood silently beside her, a quiet anchor in the storm. The fluorescent lights flickered above, casting long shadows across the cramped storage room. "They control the narrative right now," Ethan said softly. "Employees live-streamed your humiliation. Social media is already painting you as the villain. We can't just hand this to the authorities, they'll bury it. We need to be smarter." Amelia nodded, her mind racing. We expose them ourselves." Ethan's gaze met hers. "We take control. Step by step. You need to face the company, but not like before. We'll move carefully, gather evidence, cover all angles. First, the digital footprint, financial logs, emails, video recordings." Her chest tightened. "And Jonathan, he'll know we're coming. That's why we move quietly. No announcements. No unnecessary attention. Precision." Ethan's tone was calm, but every word carried the steel of someone who had endured everything and refused to break. Amelia's fear and shame coiled in her stomach. "I don't know if I can do this." "After everything," Ethan shook his head gently. "You can. Because the truth is on our side. And you're not alone. I've been where you are. I've faced betrayal that could have destroyed me. And I survived. We'll survive this too." They crouched over the USB together, reviewing the files Lucas had left. Line by line, they traced the fraudulent transfers, the shell companies, the back-channel communications. The web of lies stretched across years, exposing not just the betrayal of a single CEO, but a system of corruption that had festered in the company's heart. Amelia swallowed hard. The shock and betrayal remained, but now it was paired with clarity. With Ethan's guidance, the plan emerged: reclaim her name, expose the conspirators, and restore justice. In the cramped, chemical-scented storage room, the first seeds of rebellion and hope were planted. The next morning, Amelia returned to Sterling Group headquarters with Ethan at her side, an unassuming shield against a world that had turned on her overnight. The lobby was a battlefield of whispers, pointed fingers, and smartphones aimed like weapons. Employees streamed the scene live, eager to document the CEO's humiliation. Memes and mocking captions already circulated online. She felt the sting of betrayal everywhere she looked. A manager threw a stack of documents at her feet. "Go explain to the court," he barked, eyes alight with self-righteousness. Amelia froze, ready to crumble, but Ethan's firm grip on her elbow kept her steady. "Don't react," he whispered. "We're here for evidence, not vindication." "Not yet." Her chest tightened as she swallowed the rising panic. Even the young intern she had personally hired, someone she had mentored with care, spat at her feet, eyes blazing with belief that she had stolen from them. The pain of that betrayal cut deeper than any boardroom attack. Ethan guided her toward the service elevator, away from the hostile crowd. "Focus on the mission," he murmured. "The truth is still ours." As the elevator doors closed, Amelia let herself breathe for the first time since the car incident. The sterile, mechanical hum of the elevator offered a strange comfort. Ethan's calm was infectious, grounding her in a storm of public scorn. She looked up at him, tears threatening to spill. How do you stay so calm?" "Practice," Ethan said quietly. "I've been through this before. Anger, betrayal, isolation, they pass. The truth always finds a way to surface, even when people try to bury it." In that fleeting moment of quiet, Amelia understood something vital. The battle wasn't just about reclaiming her title. It was about exposing the rot, proving integrity matters, and finding allies in the darkest places. And beside her, the janitor-turned-guardian, stood the person who would lead her through the storm. The service elevator hummed quietly as it descended into the dimly lit depths of Sterling Group's data basement. Rows of servers stretched endlessly, their soft lights blinking like distant stars in a cold, metallic galaxy. Amelia's heart pounded as she followed Ethan through narrow aisles, each step echoing off concrete walls. "This way," Ethan whispered, guiding her toward a concealed door marked only by a faint scratch in the paint. He punched in the old security code, a relic from his former life as head of high-level security systems. The door clicked open, revealing the hidden server room where Lucas Hale had last worked. Amelia's eyes widened. This is where it all happened?" Ethan nodded. "Every piece of evidence Lucas saved before they silenced him. The transfers, the emails, the meetings where your frame was orchestrated, all of it." Inside, the faint hum of the servers felt almost alive, like the building itself was breathing. Ethan connected the USB, his hands moving with the precision of someone who had once commanded these systems. Files loaded on the screen, revealing a web of deception, shell companies, unauthorized transfers, and IP logs showing her accounts manipulated from Jonathan's office. Amelia leaned closer, stunned. They used my credentials?" "Yes," Ethan said, grim. "They trusted you enough to exploit your access, then turned the city against you when the money moved." Her chest tightened as the weight of betrayal pressed down again, but a flicker of determination sparked in her eyes. "We have to show this. Everyone must see." Ethan's voice was steady. "We will. But we move smart. Exposure without strategy could backfire. First, we gather everything. Then we make it impossible to bury the truth." Amelia swallowed hard, courage mingling with fear. The basement was cold, sterile, and unforgiving, but it was also the birthplace of her reclamation. In that hidden room, surrounded by machines and memories of a fallen friend, she understood, the fight for justice had begun, and there was no turning back. The clatter of footsteps echoed down the data basement corridors as Jonathan Reed, vice chairman and architect of Amelia's downfall, appeared at the end of the aisle. His polished suit was rumpled, hair disheveled, and eyes wild, a predator suddenly out of his controlled boardroom environment. "You two can't leave here," he barked, his voice sharp with panic and fury. "Hand over the USB. You don't know what you're doing." Ethan stepped forward, placing Amelia behind him. Calm radiated from every movement, a man who had endured loss, grief, and betrayal and refused to bow. "You killed my friend, and you won't touch her," he said quietly, deadly calm. Jonathan's face twisted. "You have everything to lose, your company, your life. What do you have?" "Nothing." "Exactly," Ethan said, advancing steadily. "I have nothing left to lose, and that makes me dangerous to people like you." Jonathan fumbled with a small handgun, waving it shakily. "You think this scares me?" Ethan's lips tightened. Years of fear, grief, and isolation had burned away. He moved with the precision of a trained security expert, closing the distance in a heartbeat, knocking the gun aside. It clattered across the concrete floor. Jonathan lunged, desperate, but Ethan's reflexes were faster. "Sit down," Ethan commanded, voice low but commanding. "Watch your empire crumble." Jonathan stumbled backward, realization dawning that control had slipped from his grasp. Ethan accessed the building's internal network, streaming the evidence across every monitor, from conference rooms to lobby screens. Financial records, video proof, emails, everything Jonathan had tried to conceal now burned across the building for all to see. Amelia, standing beside Ethan, felt tears run down her face, not of shame, but relief. For the first time since the betrayal, justice was tangible, undeniable. Jonathan sank to the floor, the walls closing in as his lies unraveled. Ethan's steady presence, forged in grief and survival, had transformed him from a quiet janitor into a shield, a guardian, and a force unstoppable by fear or greed. The hum of servers filled the basement like a heartbeat, steady and relentless. Ethan's fingers danced over the keyboard, initiating the upload that would finally expose the board's crimes. Amelia stood beside him, heart pounding, watching lines of code cascade across the screens. Every file, every audio recording, every manipulated transaction, the truth was being unleashed. "This is it," Ethan murmured, voice calm but charged with intensity. "Once this goes live, there's no hiding it. Every office, every lobby screen, everyone watching will see exactly what they did to you, and to Lucas." Amelia swallowed hard, tears blurring her vision. She had felt the sting of betrayal from colleagues, friends, and the board. But now, watching the evidence unfold, she felt a surge of righteous vindication. The young intern who had spat at her, the managers who had mocked her, they would see the reality. "Ethan, are you sure this is safe?" she asked, voice trembling. Ethan nodded. "Safe isn't the point. Truth is." He glanced at her, eyes steady. "They counted on fear. We give them courage instead." Across the building, monitors flickered on, displaying the damning evidence. Jonathan's emails, video recordings of him authorizing transfers with her credentials, the board's secret meetings, all played like a public confession. Employees gasped, some in shock, others in horror. Social media streams captured the chaos, quickly shifting from mockery to outrage. Amelia felt a weight lift from her chest. For the first time in 24 hours, she could breathe. Justice, long delayed, was finally in motion. Jonathan, pacing frantically, realized the walls were closing in. Security doors were locked, routed to emergency services. Ethan stood beside Amelia, unyielding, a man who had once lost everything and now wielded the power of truth. As the evidence spread, the building erupted with confusion, apology, and disbelief. Amelia glanced at Ethan, gratitude shining through her exhaustion. They had done it, they had reclaimed not just her reputation, but the integrity of Sterling Group itself. The chaos that followed the upload was electric. Sterling Group's lobby, once a theater of mockery, became a stage of reckoning. Employees stared at screens displaying Jonathan's confessions, financial fraud, and video proof of Amelia's innocence. The young intern who had spat at her earlier now hid her face, tears streaming, shame replacing anger. Managers scrambled, realizing the empire they had blindly supported was built on lies. Amelia stood beside Ethan, her chest heavy with relief and exhaustion. For the first time, she felt the full weight of vindication. She hadn't just survived betrayal, she had exposed it, and justice was finally taking hold. Police officers arrived, led by real warrants, not corporate handshakes. Jonathan and the remaining board members were escorted away in handcuffs, still protesting, still desperate, still powerless. Amelia turned to Ethan, voice soft. "You saved me. You saved this company." Ethan shook his head, eyes still scanning the chaos. "Lucas started this, I just followed through. I had nothing left to lose. You had everything to fight for." Tears streamed down her face as she processed the enormity of what had happened. Employees approached her cautiously, some offering apologies, others simply stunned. Social media had exploded, mockery replaced with praise, memes replaced by heartfelt recognition of truth and courage. She called an emergency all-hands meeting. Standing in the lobby, amplified through every speaker and monitor, Amelia spoke with a voice strengthened by justice. "Today, you learned I was innocent. But there is someone here who deserves recognition, Ethan Ward. He lost everything, yet chose to protect truth over power. He saved me, this company, and all of you from corruption." Applause erupted, thunderous and sincere. Amelia realized something profound: power meant nothing without integrity, success meant nothing without allies who would stand by you. And sometimes, salvation comes from the last place you expect, from the quiet, overlooked, yet unwavering heart of someone who chooses justice over self-interest. 1 week later, the chaos of Sterling Group had settled into cautious order. Amelia had reclaimed her position, but her thoughts were elsewhere, on Ethan Ward and the quiet courage that had saved her. She found him in the park, sitting on a bench beside his daughter Lily, who happily licked a melting ice cream cone, hair flying in the autumn wind. Ethan looked up as Amelia approached, a small, tired smile on his face. "Miss Amelia," Lily chirped, "is the scary stuff over?" Ethan chuckled softly, brushing a lock of hair from his daughter's face. "Almost, sweetheart. Daddy just has a little work to finish." Amelia smiled at the simplicity of the scene, the ordinary life that seemed impossibly distant from corporate betrayal and secret evidence. She handed Ethan a box of pastries and a folder of documents. "Do you want to return to your old position, or start fresh?" she asked. Ethan glanced at Lily, then at Amelia. "I don't need a title. I just want to raise my daughter in peace." "But if you need me, I do," Amelia said softly. "We both deserve a new beginning." They walked together, an unlikely trio through the park as the sun dipped low, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink. Children played on swings, dogs chased frisbees, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Amelia, too, felt a profound relief, not just for justice restored, but for the discovery of chosen family, trust, and human kindness. Lily looked up at them with the wisdom only a child possesses. "Daddy, is Miss Amelia going to be around more?" Ethan smiled at her. "She is, sweetheart." Amelia knelt to Lily's level, warmth in her eyes. "I'd like that very much." And so they walked into the fading light, not as CEO and janitor, not as savior and saved, but as three people who had lost, survived, and found hope again. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it felt real, beautiful, and theirs to share.